Welcome to Songwriting Tips and Chats with Nick Vulture. It's been a while since I've done an episode, but I have something a little bit different today. But I'll start by acknowledging that I'm on the traditional lands of the Kaurna people in South Australia and pay my respects to elders past and present and emerging. As I say, it's been a little while since I've done a podcast on songwriting, and I've been very busy with my own music in that period. But I want to do something a little bit different today. I want to divert the conversation away from the songwriting topic and focus a little bit more on assuming now that you've written some songs and that you're ready to play live. And I want to do some tips for playing live. And I'm going to break that down into two sections, some do's and some don'ts. I've been building up this sort of list in my head for quite some time. I've been playing live now with a band and also for my solo work for quite some time. And so I'm interested in the lessons that I've learned along the way and sharing them. So I'm going to get straight into it. And I'll start by going through my list of do's, things you should do when you're preparing to play live. So let's assume that you've written your songs and you're ready to play live now, probably for the first time or at least early in your music journey. So here's some things to remember when you're about to play live. First and foremost, and very importantly, start and finish on time. I know it sounds simple, but the amount of times I've seen acts start late because their friends are in the crowd and they're off chatting somewhere, or they're waiting around for their friends to turn up, so they start late, or they finish late because they feel like it's going really well and they just want to squeeze another song or two in. Generally speaking, if you're going to play for the first time, you're going to be supporting someone. So it's really important to respect the fact that you are supporting a main act and your main job is to start and finish on time and obviously entertain in between, but you don't want to be pushing back into the time of the main act. And even if you are the main act, it doesn't matter. The venue has a time limit on acts playing and when they should finish and when they should start for a reason, usually to do with their licensing. So be respectful to other acts and or the venue and start and finish on time. That's number one. Number two, there's always a sound engineer, usually, unless you're doing it yourself. If there's a sound engineer, find out the name of the sound engineer and thank him or her at some stage during your performance. Don't just say, I want to give a big shout out to the soundy. I can tell you now, most sound engineers don't really like that. They get that a lot, and it just shows that the musician hasn't taken the time to go up and introduce themselves before the show and find out their name. If you thank them by name, I think that's a really nice thing to do, and it shows some respect. The other thing to do when you're thanking is thank the venue. Always thank the venue for putting on live music. It's not all that common these days, so make sure you thank the venue as well. Here's another tip that not a lot of musical acts do, and the ones that do show a bit of class, I think, and that is to make sure you hang around and watch the other acts, or if you're the main act, get there early and be in the crowd and watch the act that you're playing with. Watch other musicians that you're playing with on the night. Show that you're interested, show that you're engaged and that you're supporting. Okay? Be in the crowd, show your support. Don't just wander off after you've played and go out the back and talk about it with your friends about how great you thought you went or how rubbish you thought you went. Stay in the crowd, watch the other act. Really good tip, that one. Really strong tip. Don't assume that your performance is enough. Your performance goes through the whole night. What you do and how you hold yourself. It's really important because if you want to be invited back, these things, they all add up. So watch the other acts. Okay, this one seems obvious, but make sure you practice and practice really well. No matter what, winging it just doesn't really work. I've learnt that lesson the hard way myself. Winging it doesn't work. Make sure you practice. I got some real inspiration from a friend of mine who's a classically trained guitarist, but he plays a lot of folk and blues as well. And one day he posted on social media that he's been practicing 4 hours a day, 4 hours a day for a gig. And I thought to myself, wow, that really puts me to shame. And that's why he's so good. And he doesn't make mistakes because he practices hard. Now, I'm not saying you should practice 4 hours a day. Not everyone has the time to do that either, but it's inspirational to at least make sure that you can. Well, I think it's inspirational to make sure that you can practice for a substantial block of time each day leading up to a show. So I think for me personally, if I have a good show coming up, a big show, I would make sure I'm practicing an hour a day for the 2 weeks leading up to that show. I think that would make sure that I'm pretty strong and pretty confident around what I'm doing. So practice, and practice enables confidence, and confidence shows on stage. Okay, now if this crowd is small, don't be concerned about that, and make sure you do thank them, no matter how small they are. You just don't know. There might be three people in that crowd. One of those people might be the person that brings you to another show, that gets you on another show, that invites you to something, or is super important in some way. So never assume because the crowd's small that it's not important. Make sure that you always thank the crowd and play hard. Play hard, even if it's a crowd of three. Play hard as if it's a crowd of 300. You really need to get that into your head. It's a hard thing to do. I struggle with it myself, but it's a good habit to get into because one day you're going to need that skill when there's a bigger crowd. So practice as though, play as though there's a big crowd there, even if it's really small, and make sure you thank them. Here's another do. Make sure you've sorted out the equipment before the night. So if you need to borrow equipment from another band or share equipment with another band, or you're not sure what the venue has and what they don't have, make sure you sort all that out beforehand. Nothing worse than acts who get to the show and then try and sort out the equipment. Really annoying and frustrating. They turn up, and I've seen this happen, and it's happened to me. Oh, can we borrow your drum kit? Oh, we don't have a bass amp. We thought there was going to be a bass amp, or whatever it might be. Make sure you sort out the equipment well in advance so that everything's sorted on the night and there's none of that running around. Now, here's a big tip that took me many years to work out. Stay sober. Yeah, stay sober. I don't drink anymore, but I used to drink, and I used to drink before shows, and I thought that it made me play better. I thought that a couple of beers made me play better. What I realized over time is that actually, no, it doesn't. And in actual fact, it works in reverse. I was playing worse. I just thought I was playing better. Now I play obviously with no drinks because I don't drink at all. And I play so much better. I make less mistakes. I'm more attuned to my sound and my tone and what I'm doing up on stage. And I don't forget things. Seriously, my suggestion is don't drink at all. But if you are a drinker and you feel like you need to drink, just stay sober. Have one drink if you feel like you really have to. But personally, I would recommend don't drink at all before you play. Stay sober. Um, and here's another do. Uh, Play open mics. No matter how good you think you're getting, and no matter how many shows you've now started to do, don't be scared of continuing to play an open mic. Open mics serve a really good purpose, and that is to hone your skills, hone your act, get stronger, get more confident, get used to playing in front of people, and also to try out new songs. It's a really good way of trying out new songs. You can gauge very quickly from the crowd at an open mic whether that song has worked or not. So that's my list of do's. My list of don'ts. Don't start late. Don't wait. And this goes back to the start and finish on time. Don't wait around for friends to turn up and think, if we just give it another 15 minutes or another half an hour, I know my friends are coming or my family's coming. No, no, no. Don't wait around. Start on time. And again, if your gig's going great and you're really into the swing of it, don't think that you can squeeze in another song or two and finish late. This goes back to start and finish on time, but this is a don't. Don't start late because you're waiting for people, and don't finish late because it's going well. Do the right thing by, as I said before, the other acts and the venue. Don't be rude to the sound engineer. How many times do you see acts, no matter how small or how big they are, criticize the sound engineer or say things like, I need more foldback, I need more foldback. Nothing's more annoying as a crowd member than watching an act say 3 or 4 times, I need more foldback, or I need more guitar, or I need more vocals. Say it once. Yeah, say it once if you really need it. But if it's still not right, just leave it. Let it go. You can survive. It's really is a first world problem. You will be able to continue to play, and you should be able to learn how to continue to play under some sort of limitations. And if that is purely just you don't have enough foldback or your guitar's not loud enough, well, you try it once and then leave it. Don't keep repeating it. It's really annoying as a crowd member. Here's another one I see people do a lot. Don't criticize yourself. Don't say things like, oh, this is a new song. It's not quite finished. It's still a bit rubbish. Or this is, I've even heard acts say this one. This is probably my worst song. Don't say things like that. If you put it into the crowd's head that you aren't very good or this song's not very good, they will believe that. It's not endearing to have that sort of self-criticism. It really doesn't work in the way that you think it does. It just makes people agree. So why do it? Don't criticize yourself. The song that you might think is your weakest, someone else might think is your strongest. So let it go. And don't criticize yourself. I think I talked about this before about making sure that you watch the other acts, but in the don't list, don't walk out with friends or leave for other acts. Or if you have to go home, and this has happened to me before, if you have to go home while the other act's on for some reason, and really you should try and make sure that that doesn't happen, don't walk out carrying equipment in front of them while they're playing. It's happened to me before and it's really rude. Just don't show that sort of disrespect that you wouldn't want for yourself. Hang around, watch the other act. If you need to leave while they're halfway through their set for some reason, just make sure you're prepared. Have your equipment somewhere so that you're not carting it out in front of them while they're playing. It really isn't a good look. So don't don't not be around for the other act. Don't hang outside with friends or don't go home carrying equipment in front of them. Here's the other thing, and again, it's related to the small crowd topic. Don't say things like, where is everyone? Or it's really quiet tonight, not sure what's going on, or whatever. For the people that are there, it just makes them not feel great. So just show respect and thank the people that are there. And yeah, don't make it look as though you're disturbed or annoyed by the lack of people in the crowd. It's a very common thing at the moment to have not a lot of people in a crowd at a live show. So ride it out because it will change, and don't show that it's getting to you, because if it gets to you, it'll get to other people as well, and they sort of feel like, well, we turned up. Maybe you could be grateful for that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I have two other don'ts. Don't expect equipment to be there. This goes back again to the do. Do be prepared with equipment, and also don't drink too much, as I've said before. So that's my list of do's and don'ts. There's always going to be a lot more, and maybe when I'm interviewing some more guests for future podcasts, I can ask some other acts what they feel their top three do's and don'ts may be, so that we can build onto this list. But I hope that that was useful if you're preparing to play live, solo or with the band, or even at an open mic. Hopefully, some of these tips are useful for you. And in the next episode, I will get back to songwriting. But for this one, I wanted to just change it up a little bit and acknowledge or assume that you have written some songs and you're ready to go out and play live. And it's a different beast playing live. You really do need to have some suggestions, some advice from people that have played live to make sure that you're ready to go. I'm Nick Vulture. Thank you for listening, and speak soon.